Hello, Mr. Parker. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Felipe.
It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to meet you. My name is Felipe Agusti. I'm from Argentina and I work in an important group of media. The name is Cadena Tres. In this situation, we talk about the World Peanut Meeting. Could you explain which issues or topic are included in your exhibition at the World Peanut Meeting?
Thank you. Glad to be on with you this morning. The United States is an important origin for peanuts, not only domestically, but globally. We have a substantial domestic market and we export a significant amount of production all over the world. And I was asked to give an overview of the peanut growing situation and supply situation in the United States for the World Peanut Meeting, and to discuss factors that may have an impact on the current supply and the future supply situation.
As you know, in Argentina, almost 85% of production of peanut is exported. What do you think about that, and how is the situation in the US?
We export somewhere in the range of 25% of our production in the United States. We have a very large domestic market. We have a larger population than Argentina does. We have a population of 335 million people, and each person eats a lot of peanuts and peanut butter. Peanut butter is a staple food here in the United States and our largest single category of consumption. So unlike Argentina, most of our peanuts stay at home. We have a very minimal amount of imports into the United States. And we export a lot of peanuts to our neighbors to the north, Canada, and Mexico to the south.
Okay, and do you have any suggestion to increase or improve the human consumption in Argentina, in our country?
The way that I've noticed peanuts consumed in Argentina during my many visits there over the years has been mostly as snacking. And I think the opportunity would be to introduce peanut butter, and marketers are going to have to be willing to take the risk. An interesting statistic that just emerged, and this will be important for your Argentine exporters, is that peanut butter just surpassed jam in consumption, in purchases in the United Kingdom. That's never happened before. So the British have over time developed a taste for peanut butter, which is affordable, it's very nutritious. It's something that can be used as a meal for breakfast on toast or bread, or on sandwiches for lunch. So many dining occasions that it could be incorporated into, and it's, again, a very healthy food source, a nutritious food source.
How do you think peanut producers should prepare for the future? What will be the main challenge in the next years?
I think we all recognize the issues of climate change and the impact of that on farming, and we have to be prepared for that. As we undergo global warming, we'll see changes in weather patterns and growing conditions, and that's something that we'll have to understand. We'll have to have seed varieties that can adapt to those conditions. I also worry about the rejection of many of our crop protection products, pesticides, by some of our key export markets. And that's an issue not only for the United States, that's an issue for peanut farmers in Argentina. Many consumers are many consumers have a misunderstanding of what it takes to grow food. And they have this idea that we could just grow it all organically and not use any sort of crop protection products. But they don't understand what kind of impact it would have on yields, on quality, and the kind of cost it would bring. And I think they would be very surprised at the cost. So most consumers are far removed from the realities of farming and important food sources such as peanuts. And that's a concern of mine. And we're going to have to address that through some different areas, which I'll talk about a little later in the interview, maybe.
Okay, now we talk about the peanut production. Do you think any change in a near future about geographical distribution or not?
I do. We're seeing an expansion in the geographical production area in the United States now. We're seeing a movement northward into the state of Missouri, which is in the central part of the United States. Peanuts have always been a southern crop in the United States, where it's warmer, longer growing season. And farmers in northern Alabama, for example, which never grew peanuts, have now started growing peanuts north of Atlanta. So if you think of the United States, and Georgia is the main peanut producing state, all of the peanuts are produced in the southern half of Georgia, none in northern Georgia. But they're actually planting and growing peanuts successfully in northern Alabama, and Missouri is doing a remarkable job. So we're seeing that shift, just like I think you're seeing some shifts within Argentina. You're seeing some southward movement in the last 20 years into La Pampas, and we also see Brazil embracing peanut production and growing their production as well.
Which do you think is the main technological factor peanut producers should focus on?
Marketing.
Marketing.
Understanding the issues around trying to grow their peanuts and doing a good job of addressing what the markets want as far as quality. I commend Argentina for the conversion to the high oleic chemistry in their peanut seed. So they have a product that is desired by consumers and by manufacturers that extends the shelf life and freshness. And the United States has not been able to make that full conversion yet. So I applaud Argentina for that. So you have a peanut that is very desirable by manufacturers, especially those in Europe.
Different things to have in mind to do.
Yes, we're focusing, as we look at technology going into the future, I think the most important technology that we're going to have to address all over the world is genetics. We have to develop peanut varieties, greater drought and heat tolerance. And that'll help us to manage climate change issues, and it will allow production to spread into new areas. I think production will need to spread into new areas. We will need to increase global peanut production over the next 30 years. There was a study published last year in the Lancet journal in the UK. It was called the EAT Lancet study. And this study looked at what it will take to feed a world population of 10 billion people in a healthy and sustainable manner in the year 2050. And this study says that global nut consumption must increase by 150% to meet the objectives. And when you look at the capacity for tree nut production increases, I just don't think it's there. I think this increase will have to come from peanuts. We're going to have to find ways to continue to increase yields, which we're doing in the United States. Argentina has been successful in increasing yields. And in developing countries as well, they're going to have to increase their peanut yields. But we'll also have to expand the geographical planting area to do this. But it's going to be an interesting venture, and farmers are imaginative and resourceful, and I think farmers in new areas are going to discover that they can produce peanuts well, maybe within Argentina, maybe within the United States.
Bob, recently you talked about the technology. You're a person who are in contact with different people of the world, different farmers. What do you think about the use of technology? Is the same in different countries or is different? How is it?
It's the same to a great extent in the United States and Argentina. You have very modern equipment, very modern processing equipment. A lot of the same equipment is used. You may have more European branded tractors than the United States does. I know you have some US made tractors in Argentina. A lot of the peanut equipment, though, is manufactured in the United States, adapted for Argentine farming conditions. And then you, of course, have your own equipment there as well. A lot of the same products that are being used in the United States, the crop protection products are being used in Argentina. The seed all originate sort of from the same lineage. And of course, we are using global positioning systems now, which I think has been a factor in the yield increase in the United States and probably Argentina, because we're very precise in how we dig the peanuts, which are in the ground. To bring those peanuts up, you have to make sure that you're exactly positioning the tractor correctly, or you will leave the peanuts in the ground. With GPS, you can have probably a 1 or 2 centimeter variance from where the tractor planted the peanuts originally months before. So it's exciting to see the technology that we have. And I think the next opportunity is going to be in utilizing data, doing soil sampling and understanding the nutrient profiles in fields and being able to apply exactly what fertilizers are needed, for example, so that we don't use too many and that we make sure we use enough, and recognize the variability within fields and plots.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. The last one is a personal question. What do you think, or which is the meaning of peanut in your life?
I grew up in South Georgia in a peanut growing area. My father grew up on a farm and was in the peanut business. And when I was 5 years old, I remember going to my grandfather's peanut field with my mother and pulling peanuts up. And we took them and cleaned them and picked them off the vines and boiled them and put them in little bags. And I sold them for 10 cents a piece in the little town where I lived. So I've been in the peanut business since I was 5 or 6 years old, and in some way or another. So I always tell people, if you cut my arm, peanut butter would probably come out instead of blood. Peanuts are in my DNA, and my great grandparents were farmers on both sides. My great grandparents also were farmers in that same area, and so farming is important to me. I work for farmers today, and I'm honored. There's no one better to work for and support and to promote.
So the whole family is working in peanut industry.
Well, my children don't. My son lives in New York City. He works in corporate communications, and my daughter is an attorney and a mother. So I guess I'm the last generation of my family to work in peanuts.
Probably in the next future, probably.
Yes.
Okay, no more questions. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope to see you. I don't know, probably in next exhibition, maybe in Hungary next year.
Well, I hope so. I hope to see you there. If I think they're maybe going to postpone it now to 2022, unfortunately, but I look forward to meeting you personally there whenever we do have it.